watching television, is it harmful to our children and youth? According to the book Remote Control, a Newsweek article entitled Trash TV gave the lineup for the Halloween week on television. On NBC, there was a mini-series called Favorite Son, which had sadomasochistic bondage and a dog lapping up the blood of a murder victim. On ABC, it had a show made for television of a father attempting to burn alive his son. On Fox, they were reporting an airline pilot who had put his wife in a wood chipper machine in order to get rid of her. And then you had the talk show lineup. One had strippers on it that he was talking to. On another talk show, there were lesbian marriage couples that were being interviewed. And yet on another talk show, they had a host of prostitutes, as well as the titillating subject of how doctors sexually abuse their patients. How many of our children, how many of your children and youth watch this type of media and this type of programming? Do you think this type of media is harmful to our children and to our youth? Keep this in mind as you hear the remainder of my material. Being a parent and a grandparent, as well as a teacher, I feel qualified to speak on this topic. The purpose of my speech is to persuade you that we need to monitor the time and the content of what our children and our youth are watching. The first point I'd like to point out to you is that the time spent watching television, children are not being creative, they're not being active. It steals from them the ability to be motivated to explore and engage. It also, in their surroundings, and it also hampers their mental development, their physical development from lack of exercise, and also their social development. In the book, The Plug-in Drug, by author Marie Wynn, she states that children's language suffers tremendously by watching television because they have no verbal feedback and they do not understand the consequences often of their actions when they are interacting while television is going on. Also, the Epilepsy Foundation has reported that several characteristics of television can trigger seizures in children and adults, such as flickering, brightness, rapid flashing, contrast in brightness and dark colors. In 1997 in Japan, while a host of people watched a show called Pocket Monsters, at 6:58, simultaneously, 685 people had a seizure at exactly the same time from watching television. Also, Samsung has released a statement in 2010 that its 3D television and the 3D glasses can cause seizures in susceptible people. Also, there's the exposure to violence on television. It increases the aggressiveness and aggressive behavior in our children. 5-year-old children who watch television for 3 or more hours a day are more likely to fight, to steal, to be antisocial by the age of 7, suggests Robert Parrott, who is a reporter for WebMD Television. Also, it is reported by Dr. Paramonter that our children in America watch on average 1,680 minutes of television per week, which translates into 28 hours a week. Our youth that go to school spend about 900 hours in school per year, but they watch over 1,500 hours of television per year. So as you see, television can be of great detriment to our young people. At Otavia University, Professor Bob Hancock and his colleague Lindsay Robertson found that there are risks of criminal conviction in early adulthood within every increased hour of watching television. Now, television doesn't cause antisocial behavior, but it can contribute to it. And its research shows that if there is a decrease in television watching, then it can also decrease the antisocial behavior in our society. Also, the studies show that children and youth that watch a lot of television have more aggressive personality traits, and they have an increased tendency to have negative emotional problems as an adult. The next area we'd like to discuss is monitoring our children's television viewing. The American Academy of Pediatrics reports that children 2 and older should watch no more than 1 or 2 hours of television daily. And children 2 and under should not watch television at all. Avoid setting a firm TV time and allowance for your children. In other words, do not make them think that they're entitled to watch television every day. Make your television physically inconvenient. One of my sisters once put a sheet over her television and told her children they had to read the Bible as much as for every hour they watched television. Also, go with the calm, quiet programming so as not to cause seizures. Sometimes when the children have seizures, the only evidence of that is that they will complain of a headache. Sometimes there are no symptoms at all, but the brain can still misfire. Watch programs, not television. In other words, pick specific educational programs. Watch only those. Do not just let the television be on and playing indefinitely. Watch television with your children when possible. Help your children to become critical viewers of both the shows and commercials that they watch. And make yourself a role model. Let your children see you watching things that are not detrimental to your development as well as their development. Now, the purpose of this speech was to convince you that television and other media, such as video games, DVDs, are harmful to our young people and to our children. Also, as parents, we need to turn off the television. I'm sorry, as a parent who turned off the television, when my older daughter was at home, she graduated with a 4.0, and I do believe that this helped with fuller development of your children. Also, in 2002, an estimated 199,000 children were killed worldwide. That's 565 children per day between the ages of 10 and 29, and all of these deaths were perpetrated by youth on youth or children on children deaths, murders. I believe it's best said by the poet Walt Whitman when he says, "There was a child went forth every day, and the first object he looked upon, that object he became, and the object became part of him."